Good morning, everybody. Okay, Eric just bolted. Are we okay?
Yeah, I didn't know if I had the audio up. So I was like,
Like literally, it's going, and then Eric goes whoosh. So good morning, good Monday morning. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We're going to talk about what we did over the weekend, but you know, weekend is typically not really a weekend for us. But I'll figure out the spoiler here later. So anyway, good morning. I got distracted. I was trying to type good morning to all of you as I typically do. But then I remembered I needed to text someone really quickly. So I did that, and that prohibited me from making my fingers work to say good morning to you. So therefore, I'm going to put my glasses on, and I'm just going to say it to you. So make sure I got everybody that has signed on thus far. So Ernie and Susie, I think I got to you. Jim, good morning. We've got some stuff that you shared with us that we're going to share with everyone else. Good morning, Kathleen. Elizabeth, of course, good morning. Gary, as always. Kim Sokolsky, good morning, my sweet friend. Who else do we get in there? Dina and Jane. Jane, that package is on its way to you. And I hope you eat every Twizzler and enjoy every speck of that coffee creamer. And next time when you come to Florida, I'm just going to give it to you so you can just fly it home. Much easier that way. And let's see, anybody else? Sharon, good morning. John Hickman, good morning. Julia, Lisa, Sydney, good morning. Sydney, we have stuff to chat with you about because I think you guys were on your cruise the week that we featured your sweet gifts to us. But we're gonna mention those again today because we want to make sure that you know how much we love and appreciate them. Sunset, good morning. Lisa, Allie, Ron, CJP, good morning. Melody, Tracy, Laura. Oh my gosh, look at all of these people. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, this is a train wreck sometimes.
and Cindy and Sheldon, you see that?
Oh yes, Cindy and Sheldon. Why do we always want to say Sydney and Sheldon? Because of Sydney and Valencio. Yeah. So my apologies. Sometimes my tongue doesn't work properly in the morning. Anyway, so good morning. We are so excited. We have one more podcast before Christmas. As we mentioned before, on Christmas Monday, we're not going to have a coffee time. We hope that you have a coffee time with your family and loved ones, all sitting around and enjoying things. But we'll be sure to catch up the following week and give you all the details about our holiday and your holiday as well. But for now, we're just going to get going. So I have a phone call at 10. I pushed it back to 10:15 just to make sure we get through everything here. I'm not sure how my calendar allowed it to be scheduled at 10. Technology is great when people can automatically schedule phone calls or appointments with you, but sometimes it doesn't know my real life. And I guess technology is expecting me to tell it what my real life involves. So anyway, I'll try to stay on task today. Eric often will get me back on task. Eric, did you want to say something? I knew it. I just sense these things.
Amy, I need to turn my microphone on. There we go. Amy, I'm here on the other side of the counter enjoying a frosty beverage from my easily distracted by breaking news cup.
Yes.
You know what your pet peeve is?
Yeah, I know what my pet peeve is.
Stuff not in the coffee cups.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing.
You're just looking funny.
No, I'm looking funny because Cindy and Sheldon's their text from last week is up on the screen. I don't know how it got up there.
Well, just take it off.
I don't know how to take it off.
Oh Lord. I'll be back.
No.
Hey, Sydney, here's your mug.
Yeah, Sydney. No. This is from last week, remember?
I understand.
I'm just
not... you have to just come over here and get rid of it.
You know what? Okay.
All right, anyway.
Yes.
Thanks for the mug.
Yes, and speaking of the mug, here is my mug from them. Nothing is in mine, full disclosure, nothing is in mine right now. It just came out of the dishwasher because I used it the other day. But isn't this adorable? It's got the Pooh Bear, and Eeyore, and Christopher Robin. Oh my God, it's like the classic Pooh Bear. This is like what I grew up with. I love it so much. And on that note, you guys, I guess I've mentioned how much I love Pooh Bear. Winnie the Pooh is most definitely my favorite Disney character, movie, video, everything. And on that note, a sweet friend of Elizabeth's roommate from college, one of her roommates, got me this Pooh Bear mug, which is absolutely adorable too. So I am totally feeling all warm and cozy with all of my Pooh Bear mugs, and I'm so excited about that. So thank you guys for sending those in. So let's get going because we have so much. A couple people joined in. Oh my gosh, V Mendez RN popped in. Does anybody else?
First time ever watching, like live.
Oh, excellent. There you are. Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us live. I don't know. Oh, RN. So I'm guessing that your shift schedule, if RN stands for nursing, you probably have a crazy wonky schedule. So thank you for taking any time to watch us, whether it's live or whenever. You know what? Maybe they put it on so that they can go to sleep. Maybe it's a boring thing to get you to go to sleep. Yes, sir.
Hello. Hey, can I ask everyone a favor today?
Sure.
So we have the like thing, like we ask you to like the thing. So I'm asking you again to like this thing on the screen if you can. But can we try a little something different? Can we mix it up? Can we jazz it up? Jazz. Share it. Like maybe share it to your Facebook page or something and say, hey, I watch this every Monday. Join us because we talk about stuff and it's fun. It's just things that help us with the stream would be, so there's a little arrow on the thing that says share. So share
what's it do again?
Yeah. Bye.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Excellent. Okay. So, so I don't know how all that works. Rob says, hello from Virginia, snow on some roads, 38 for a high. Yes. I was actually going to ask you, so you kind of beat me to it. You knew what I was thinking. We've got some photos a little bit later of what.
You can hit the weather button there if you want.
You me hit the weather button? I have to find the weather button. Don't just
It just says weather. And like when we had that reset.
Yeah, so this is not Florida, obviously. So Rob, you were right on cue. You were just helping us. Great little segue, my friend. So last night around 11 p.m., our son, who is at JMU, James Madison University, was sent us this picture from Harrisonburg. That is snow, icy snow coming down. And then this morning, our other son, Forrest, who lives in Richmond, beautiful backyard, love his deck and that view, woke up to a little bit of a dusting out there as well, which is really funny because this morning I saw somebody else's picture in Stanton, Virginia, and it was like snow everywhere. So that was before I saw this. So I was excited. The boys are getting some snow, but they're going to come home. So we're excited about that. Dina says that they woke up to snow in Maryland too. Oh my goodness. Well, yay for all of you. I mean, I will say here in Florida, it is a little bit chilly out there this morning. The past couple days, it hasn't been chilly, but every once in a while this time of year, we do get that chilly morning, which for us is fantastic. I don't think our door's not open at the moment, but in the morning when I take the dogs out, usually first thing I do if it's chilly is I'll open up that slider. There's a retractable screen back there on the lanai. Even though the pool area is screened in, I don't want the pets running all around there without supervision. So I put the retractable screen down and I open up the slider just to get that cold, fresh air in. It really is nice. I mean, in Florida, we use that our AC units are on almost all the time. Very rarely, if ever, do we have to turn on the actual heat, because usually if it's cold enough, it's just, the AC just doesn't cut on. But anyway, it's so nice to be able to kind of get just some fresh air, some of that crisp air kind of coming in, especially this time of year.
Yeah, it's great.
With a candy cane. Okay, so true story. Okay, I'm so embarrassed to share this. It's really stupid. It's not even really embarrassing. It's just I'm dorky. So when I was waiting for Eric to chime in there. He didn't. Wow, good for me. So when I was younger, like when I was in high school and I could drive, and years after that, even when we were married and just had our first couple of kids, I would love to drive kind of at night, when I would see all of the traffic lights that are either going to be red or green because they're Christmas colors. And then I would always have a peppermint, like a candy cane. I used to keep the tiny candy canes in to the right of my little console in the car. So I would have my candy cane, and I would see the red and green lights, and then I would it was cold, and so I'd have the window down. It was lovely. I just love that. So I'm dorky. I know. Anyway, so a couple other people, no snow in New Jersey, says Lisa. Really? But Sydney, however, says it snowed in New York last Wednesday and Thursday. A dusting didn't even stick. Yeah, that's kind of the way it was in Virginia the majority of the time when we lived there, is that very rarely did it actually do anything, but it was fine because as long as it as long as it came down. You know, we need to show that one time. We need to find that picture of the time we had a really big snowfall and we took the kids sledding over at Dare Elementary.
Yeah.
And there's that picture of me on top of Forrest sledding down. And Forrest's face is covered in snow because he said that I pushed his face in the snow and I didn't, but maybe I did. I don't know. But we'd find that picture. It was a really fun one. Anyway, all right, guys, we are going to get moving on to our What's Brewing topics for today. But before that, again, shout out to Taylor who gave me this mug because he said he was out and he saw Pooh Bear and he thought of me. And then again to Sydney for my mug and to Eric. Eric, I'm going to shoot to you, so put yours up again. For our sweet mugs. Seriously, easily distracted by breaking news. That was really good. Fantastic, very appropriate gift, Sydney. All right, so let's get going to what is brewing. Here's the button. Okay, so our brewing topics today: closing time, Blazerfest, and fly-in. So if you've watched our little ditty here before, you remember flying, and back by popular demand, we have that for you as part of our What's Brewing topics for today. But the first one is closing time. Now, closing time is referencing the closing on your real estate transaction, more specifically your home purchase or land purchase here in the area. But because of that, it ties in so perfectly with this week's Allie Knows Nothing that we're going to go to the Allie Knows Nothing, if I can find it. Where is it? See, what happened was, okay. No.
The reset, did it cover it?
Yeah, it did.
It's the first button.
That's what I thought it was. So we had a little oopsie, and something got disconnected a few minutes before we started, and my little buttons over here, the icons haven't popped up. So I'm gonna cross my fingers. This is the right one. But closing time, this week's Allie Knows Nothing. It all kind of plays in together.
My question is, all things title company. Who chooses them? What exactly do they do? And how do they get added to the real estate transaction?
Okay, so those are great questions. So the first thing I want to reference, and I'm gonna skip to something else here in a minute, but the first thing I want to point out is who chooses the title company. So this is a really important question because a lot of people get confused of this. Ultimately, the seller, well, first of all, anyone can choose the title company, but in most cases, the seller is going to choose, and the seller can essentially be the deciding factor because, they're the ones selling the property. When an offer is submitted, so usually in the MLS, usually in a listing agreement, that listing agent usually has a title company that they work with pretty consistently, and that is key. So unless you happen to be a person who is somewhat associated with the industry and you have a title company that you know of, or maybe your sister-in-law works at a title company, something like that, in most cases, part of that listing agreement with your agent is utilizing a title company that they recommend and that they prefer to work with, because there is so much communication and trust and just efficiency that's kind of required. So usually that's kind of the way that goes. Now, that doesn't mean that it has to be done that way, but in the listing on the MLS, there's going to be a section in there that says who the seller prefers to use as their title company. So when an offer is submitted to the buyer, or to the seller rather, they should already include that closing company or that title company that has been noted in the listing. But that really is important because again, part of when you choose your realtor is them kind of having a title company already on standby. And that title company, kind of going back to Allie's question, pre-closing is going to do a lot of behind the scenes work. They are doing estoppels, they are doing title searches, they are holding escrow, they are going to be communicating with the lender, they're going to be balancing numbers to get you a closing disclosure, they're going to be providing you wiring instructions, they're going to be doing all of the things in preparation for this big day. So this is a closing that we had, was it Thursday or Friday? This is Daniel and Marisol Crespo. They just closed on their beautiful land sea home out in Groveland. And this was literally them at the closing table. So her name is Ellie, works with First American a title company, and they did a great job as always. But look at the stack of papers and look at the pens. This is what you can expect for closing. You go to the title company, wherever that title company is, whomever it was that chose it, but it is typically the seller. In this case, the seller is also the builder. So yes, the builder typically is going to be closing with this particular title company. And you can see the stacks of paper. There were ultimately 3 little stacks of paper there. You have closing disclosures. You have all of the financial paperwork from the lender that's in there. If it's a cash purchase, your stack is like just a few papers. It's so easy if it's a cash purchase. But if it's not, if it's financed, you're going to have a stack of papers. Do your hand exercises so that you can sign many, many, many documents. But this is the closing agent. And the closing agent is going to be the one that goes through each document and explains them to you and tells you where you need to sign, initial, or date. Or complete the form if necessary. So the title company, again, back to Ali's question, is they really are an important part of the process. The realtor is not the lender is not the closer, and there's a whole slew of people that are all working behind the scenes to make the process easy for you. And that really is, I have a client, I was working, I have the listing. And of course, I put the title company down. All of that was in the listing agreement, the title company that we typically use, because again, when you have consistent, constant, great success with the title company and you have a great open line of communication, people that I know that I can text, I shouldn't, but I know that I can text them on the weekend or after hours, and they're going to respond to me, where a lot of title companies won't. But this particular, seller actually, a little bit later in the process said, hey, you know what? I want to use this law firm as my to close on the property. Totally fine. Absolutely not a problem. Just have to change some paperwork. But I don't have a relationship with them, right? And so it makes it a little bit more difficult. So think about that. When you are going to sell your property, check with your agent. Hey, do you have a title company that you need to use? Do I need to look one up? But most realtors are going to have one that they have a great relationship with. So anyway, yes, sir. Eric is raising his hand across the kitchen island.
Hi. 2 things.
Yes.
Number one, I just wanted to point out that the buyer can choose the title company, but that means they have to pay the fees.
Yes.
Which is why usually the seller pays it, because the buyer chooses, hey, I'll let you pick, but then you have to pay the fees.
Yes, correct.
Second, could you sum up for me what the title company does in one sentence? Because I still think it's not clear to people what a title company, why you need a title company, what do they do in 2 sentences or less?
Oh, good Lord. Well, in 2 sentences or less. Well, the title company carries us through closing. They are the ones that literally you're signing the final documents, and they will initiate funding and close the entire transaction. So the title company is where everything accumulates and it culminates there at the end. That's it. That's the big moment. You go to closing, you go to the title company. Again, title company here. Keep in mind, when you live in other states, if you're up north, maybe this is done by attorneys, and that's you go to law offices and do that. But here where we are, title companies are going to handle all of the necessary behind the scenes work that is going to get you to closing, so that you have clear title on the property, that there are no liens or judgments against that property, and basically gonna ultimately hand you your keys. And so maybe that's it. You go to the title company, you give them money, you sign some papers, they give you keys. Was that good?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and there are a lot of different title companies around, so that's kind of a good thing. And on that note, you can do mobile closings sometimes when necessary, which means that instead of going to the actual local title company here, maybe you live in New York and maybe they're going to have you close the day after Christmas, and you're like, but I live in New York and I can't get there the day after Christmas. Sometimes we can coordinate mail away or mobile closings, but that'll be something to talk about, if that is something that might be part of your situation. So anyway, so that was a good one, yeah? Everybody feel better about title companies? Yeah, you feel good? Okay. So going back to our What's Brewing topic. All right, so Blazer Fest. So that doesn't mean like a blazer that you wear. That means that it is Valdosta's had graduation on Saturday. So this is Elizabeth and myself. We went to Georgia on Saturday. We drove up in the morning. Here, just as an FYI, Valdosta State is in Georgia. It is just over the Florida-Georgia line. And they actually have in-state tuition. So if you live in Florida, that's what I was saying. If you live in Florida, you can have in-state tuition in Valdosta, at Valdosta State, rather. So important little note there. But so Elizabeth's 2 of her 3 roommates at college all graduated, or both graduated on Saturday. So we drove up to see them. It could not have been better weather. It was absolutely beautiful. If anything, we had sweaters on because we thought it was going to be colder. But the truth was, it was absolutely lovely. Eric, you didn't have a picture of the fireworks or anything, did you? I thought I saw one. Oh, so I just want to tell you this because I took a bunch of pictures, but that's okay. I guess I didn't send it. But what's interesting is that, first of all, they did the graduation so nicely. I mean, they had the processional. They all came in. Excuse me, the president of the university spoke, briefly, 5-10 minute little, words of welcome and inspiration. They introduced, the highest in the class for the different colleges. And then, they read out everybody's name very quickly, very efficiently. And then instead of having the processional there at the end, they do fireworks. And so there was these beautiful fireworks popping off back behind the beautiful buildings there. It was really lovely. And I will say, well done, Valdosta State. It was a really great, nice, efficient graduation where nobody felt gypped. Everyone's name was called, but it was not just laboring on and on and on and on and on. So they did a great job. Did you have something you were going to say? Okay. Anyway, so moving back over. Sorry, wrong button. So the next thing is flying. All right, so back by popular demand is fly-in. I know Eric did this a while back. I'm going to find the little button so I can push it. He did this a while back, and I know it really does give you a part of what we talk about all the time. We talk about it. We do our Sunday drive, so we drive through it, but then flying gives us that bird's eye view. So here we go with fly-in. Okay, did you like it? I think that's a really great way. So thank you, Eric, for doing that. A great way to see things, again, from that bird's eye view. Even though we drive through it, we talk about it, it's nice to see it from up above. So you saw in there, and Eric kind of helped me out because I was looking over here for a little bit, looking at questions. I know that we definitely, that he, was driving through Disney's backyard. He showed you the development or the progress on the new elementary school there at Waterley.
Yes.
Did you see how far along that is coming? They pop those schools up so fast. I think partly because, it's less detail oriented than a home, because it's just these big buildings, but they also use the same design and floor plan for these so they can pop them up a lot faster. Also flew through Margaritaville, which is where we have one of our listings. There's Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth's popping. Hello,
bringing
Elizabeth.
in the dog.
She's taking care of the dogs. She's like, oh, I didn't know I was on. But went through Margaritaville where we have one of our listings. That is the Margaritaville Resort. Definitely a short-term rental or an investment or vacation rental type of a resort, but there are people probably that live there full time. That's just completely up to you. Eric, were you going to say something?
No, it's just I was standing by in case you needed to remember.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me if there's anything else in there.
Bernardo Circus.
Bernardo Circus,
which is
yes.
there for a few more weeks. They're in Hamlin, and then
scooch that way.
Oh, I didn't know you called
there
me
you go.
up.
I called you up.
Oh well.
Everyone see.
Let me produce the show, and you just do that talky thing you do. No, I'm kidding. And then the connector road, just showing that nothing's happened on the connector road from Encore Ovation to Serenoa is right there. 2026 is when that's coming. So
okay,
that's what we showed you.
Okay, you're off now. Okay, good. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll do some more of those fly-ins, but I think that was great. And yeah, you mentioned the circus is back in town.
Yes.
So if you remember last year, we did an interview. It was so great to see them. We actually, was it lunch that we sent them their last day when they were going to pack up after their last show?
And we drove around with Kevin, Kevin Bernardos, the ringmaster.
Yeah, that was fun. We should have reached out. Well, they're here till the 22nd.
Something like that,
yeah. So anyway, it's nice. We did one of our Instagram things. Eric was actually driving out, and it was just so funny because he was there right as the circus was pulling into town. So that's kind of what it's like to live here, right? You get to see all this fun stuff. All right, I'm going to hit a couple of, actually, let me just double check and make sure that I got everything. Yep, I got all of our brewing topics. So I want to go to a couple questions that we have because Lissy Tales has a fantastic question. Oh my gosh, such a good one. Thank you. So when purchasing new construction, do you typically also change the locks after closing? Such a good question. So the answer is no. You don't have to. That is certainly a something you can do on your own. But the way that the locks work for the builders is very interesting. So sometimes I don't want to encourage you to change the locks. I don't want to discourage you from changing the locks. You don't really need to change the locks if you do things properly. So the locks that they use on the new construction homes, obviously lots of people have keys. The builder is going to have key. The site agents are going to have keys. And those are called builder keys, right? So it's keyed in. They can open and access the home at any time. Some of the trade workers are going to have keys. Supervisors, things like that are going to be able to access the home. Now, after you do your final walkthrough, at the final walkthrough, if not the new homeowner orientation, that's when the builder usually reminds you about what you need to do to change over your key. So the locks now are very smart. They're very complex, but in an easy way for you to change them over. So at closing, so like that picture we showed you earlier where my clients were at closing, after you've signed all those documents, everything has funded, they bring in your big packet of paper, and in there are going to be your actual home keys. Now, this is key. Funny, it's key. When you go, that was funny. When you go to your home, and I do suggest this, guys, after you close on your home, go to your home immediately and change over those locks. And when I say change over, I don't mean get a locksmith to come in and change them. It means take the actual big key that they give you. They usually give you like 4 keys, 2 big ones and then 2 copies. Take the big key and any door that is going to access the exterior of your home, your front door. If you happen to have a back door that has a lock, some don't, some just have sliders. But if it's anything that has a lock, as well as the door that goes from your garage into your home. Take the big key that they give you, put it in, turn it to the right, turn it to the left, just do that back and forth a couple of times, and it automatically drops a pin within the lock mechanism. You don't hear it, it doesn't click, there's no fireworks that go off when you've done it correctly, but what you've done is when you've done that, you've now changed it, and so none of those other keys that the builders or trades or salespeople have are going to work. And that really is important. Now, there are some types of locks. I know that D.R. Horton uses them. A couple of builders use them where you have to stick in this little mechanism and then you turn it. And it's a little bit more complex, but still a very easy way for you to change the locks so you don't have to actually have a locksmith come out and change them. So the answer is no, you don't have to have a locksmith come and change out all of your locks, but you do need to make sure that you change that over so that you now have locked out anybody else. And a lot of the builders will demonstrate that for you to prove to you that their key no longer works. So sometimes they'll do that for you if they have that original key. Sometimes they can do that for you at the new homeowner orientation. So some of you say, just kind of piggybacking on this question because it's such a good one, what if you're closing out of town? What if you're doing a mobile closing and you're not picking up your keys, because your keys typically for new construction are going to remain either at that title company, or sometimes we can get them to courier them or to put them back at the sales office. I have that situation coming up with a client who's going to be closing soon-ish, and they will be closing remotely. And so the title company is going to courier over the keys to the title or to the sales office, and then they'll pick the keys up there. There have been times where I've picked up the keys for my clients, and then I go to their home, always with their permission. I pick up the packet. It has to be with approval, written permission that I have. I have the ability to pick up the closing packet and the keys. I go to the home, I change the keys over, I make sure everything is locked up, and then I put a coded lockbox on the front door for my clients with one key in it so that they can access the home. Because sometimes people are traveling, right? They don't get here till 2 a.m. Well, they're not going to come to my house at 2 a.m. to pick up the key, and the sales office is closed. So anyway, that's a really, really, really good question, and not one that we've had. So thank you for that one.
Amy?
Uh-oh, what?
I have barking news.
Barking news, okay.
Hi. She's annoying. Do you see my girl?
Yeah, she's
Isn't she
so
sweet? Look, doesn't she look sweet?
She is sweet.
She looks sweet. Well, yeah. But here's the thing. So a couple things we want to talk about. This is Daisy Jane, in case you haven't met Daisy Jane. Daisy Jane, first of all, is the official dog of Disney's Backyard. So the official dog of Disney's Backyard, you know why? Well, first of all, because she lives here and she's our dog. But look at this. See that?
You can't. You have to turn her down. You can't really see it. Oh, you can't really see. I have to take a picture because she's got like little Mickey ears.
Mickey.
Yeah, she has a hidden Mickey on her on the black fur markings of her. It's
but
beautiful.
a couple of things.
Yes.
She learned how to go up the stairs.
She did.
But she did not learn how to come down the stairs. And she loves to go up the stairs. And then she's like, I don't want to be upstairs. So it's constant. So that's what Elizabeth's been up and down the stairs constantly right now. And now she has to go out again. So that's why I had to share with you that she has to go out again. And then the other thing is everyone in Disney's Backyard is going to see her soon because there she is.
Aw, yay. Yeah, so this is coming soon. So this is just our holiday thank you postcard we are sending out to, well, I don't know where this one's going. Where's this one going, honey?
Disney's Backyard. 10,000 homes in Disney's Backyard.
10,000 homes in Disney's Backyard. So this is just really just our postcard saying Merry Christmas and thanking everybody and hoping they have a wonderful holiday. And yes, Daisy Jane made the postcard. So isn't she adorable? She really is so stinking cute. Well, she is. She's very cute. It was funny because we were laughing one day about that she hadn't found her bark. And she's found it.
Oh, it is annoying.
Yeah, she did not find her bark, and then when she found it, it was like, oh my gosh. So yes, Eric is correct.
It's a yap.
It is, yeah, it is. But she yaps at the cat. The cat doesn't want to deal with her, but she wants to deal with the cat. So then when the cat's up high, she just sits there and barks at her. She'll bark at the bottom of the stairs, but now that she can go up, she'll go up them and then barks to come down. It's very sweet. Ish. Yeah. But anyway, she's very good. Well, let me go back to this other question because I had Ron's question and I popped it up right before you could do that. Oh, that's okay. When buying resale in a new construction community, are new home builder incentives like closing costs, mortgage buydowns, upgrades calculated for appraisal, realtor comp analysis of the resale? Let's see if I understand that again. When buying a resale in a new construction community, are new home builder incentives, closing costs? Oh, calculate. I got you. Okay. So no, not for appraisal. I mean, the homes, new construction, I've literally only had one new construction home not appraised, and it was one that my clients really blinged out and they added a pool, and the appraisal was only off by 10,000, so it wasn't a huge discrepancy. But no, one thing to note, this isn't exactly your question, but one thing to note, and this is really important because you bring up a really good point, if you are buying a resale in a new construction community. So the builders, especially right now, like between now and like how many days till Christmas, like toward the end of the year, there are incredible incentives. Even if the builder's fiscal year doesn't end on December 31st, they're still trying to get every little bit of business they can, and they know that the other builders are upping their incentives, so they're ramping theirs up as well. So when you were buying, so for instance, I have a client, we were looking in a community, I'll just say it, they were looking in Waterley. And there were also some resales in Waterley. But it was a better deal, far better a deal to buy the new construction home because of the builder incentives. So if you are, and this is important for those of you that are looking to list your homes potentially, or if you are a realtor who doesn't know any different, I always say that when you are selling in a new construction community as a resale, you have to be competitive with the builders, not comparable to them. So, you need to make sure that, you're aware, well, what is the new construction? What's the builder offering right now? Because if they've got this floor plan that's brand spanking new and it's ready now, and they're offering $20,000 in incentives plus a 1-year home warranty, and nobody's ever lived in it before, then my home that's the exact same floor plan that's 2 years old, how are you going to be competitive with the builder? You do have to think through that. And that, kind of back to Ron's question, the appraisal aspect, it does reflect in, so when you close on the property, there is a space in there to note what the closing cost contribution was. So, if you're like, oh, that home sold at, it sold above asking. Oh my gosh, that home sold above asking. Well, your realtor is going to be able to tell you whether or not, yes, it sold for $10,000 over asking, but they also contributed $15,000 towards closing costs. So those are some things that's nice to know when you're kind of doing your research on some properties. So Eric, you were pacing. Did you need me?
No.
Oh, Lord. Okay. All right. Anyway, good questions.
Well, no, hold on.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, another example, though. So yesterday, 2 days ago, Amy was in Valdosta, and so I took, Mark and Annie were in town, so I took them some places, and their budget, I'm not going to get into all the business, but let's say their budget had a 50 at the top of it, right? So X $150,000, right? There was a new construction home in Waterloo that was X $174,000. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's go see that one because the incentives are going to crank that back. And unbelievable deal for that one. And I explained to them, we've got time kind of because it's a little slower right now, but we don't have time on this one because it's going to sell. They went, they loved it. Not really in their time frame, but then became in their price range. But I said, it's going to sell today or tomorrow. And guess what, Amy? It's like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
It was one of those where it was such a good value that I texted Amy and said, should we buy this house? Because
it was
sell it in the spring.
Spectacular. And the fact that, my first question to Eric was, well, what's the view? And it had like a water view, so it was fantastic. Gator. But, a cash buyer came in and snatched it up. So it was incredible incentives. It was incredibly priced, and boom, boom, they were able to make it happen. So you know what? That's a really good point. I'm gonna talk about what Eric just said. We are very, very honest and transparent. We tell people we do not rush you. We do not pressure you to make a decision. But we do need to give you, with full disclosure, if you want this home, you have to act now because it won't be there. Or, hey, you know what? This isn't the home. This is priced too well. This is going to go really fast. So this is not the time to play games and try to come in a little bit lower. This is a time to come in with an offer because you want the property. And, it's not a one size fits all scenario by any stretch of the imagination when you're talking real estate. You have to be able to understand, what does that home look like? What is it priced like? Is that a really good deal? Is it not a good deal? Is that one going to be on the property or on the market for longer? There's a lot of things that we don't know, but there's a lot of things that we do know. And while we never rush or pressure people to make decisions, we certainly say, look, you liked this community, but those incentives that we just talked about that also made it a bit more desirable, they're going to be gone January 1st. And just as an FYI for anyone out there looking, this is true for all of you. If there are great incentives right now, lock in, because January they're gone. And they're not going to play nice, and they're not going to say, well, I know you were here in December, and I know in December we had $20,000 towards closing costs and a rate of 5.99, blah, blah, blah. That was then. This is now. And so they do not retroactively play nice with those incentives. So you have to understand that those change all the time, and they are most definitely going to change on January 1st.
More questions.
More questions. I know. I was getting ready to do that. So I like Kim's question. Hi, Kim. On new construction I have to glasses. Good Lord, I'm old. On new construction, is the house cleaned before closing, or do we need to find a cleaning service? Oh, Kim, what a good question. So that depends on what your definition of clean is. Okay. So yes, the home is cleaned. In a perfect world, it's not perfect. Well, it's not perfect, but in a perfect world, when we go to your new homeowner orientation, which is going to be about a week before you actually close on the property, the home should look very clean and it should be prepped and ready for you. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be things that we note. That's the whole reason we have the new homeowner orientation. So we're going to be noting, as we've talked about before, paint or drywall, checking things, right? But the home itself should be relatively clean. But there's a lot of dust and debris and stuff that just kind of floats in the air in new construction homes that are going to settle back down again. So yes, after your new homeowner orientation, between that week from that orientation to your actual closing date, regardless of what your home looked like at that new homeowner orientation, the builder already, without a doubt, has planned a painting crew to come back in for touch-ups, a drywall crew to come back in for touch-ups, blah, blah, blah. A cabinet crew to come in for a cabinet bump, they call it, and a final clean. So the final clean, it really, like I said, it just depends on what your definition is. Is it going to be clean enough for you to move your stuff in and get going? Absolutely. Are you going to open up your kitchen cabinets and see a little bit of dust from when they screwed in the screws, and maybe there's a little bit of wood remnants and dust on the top cabinet? Yeah, it's going to be there. So it's really up to you, but it will be clean enough for you to move into and for you to live in. But if you want to hire, and I would say this, you want to specify it is a move-in cleaning. There's move-in cleanings and there's move-out cleanings, and there's all sorts of cleanings in between. But if you find a service and you say it's a move-in, new construction clean, that will tell them what they need to do. And just remind them, we're talking window sills, like lift the window, get the little track in there. We're talking, just the cabinets. And on that note, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. The other thing to notice, as I talked about all that dust and debris that's kind of in the air, the other thing is really important to not forget to change your air filters, maybe even a little bit more often than you normally would, just because as you start to move and live in that home, that is going to, make that filter, like pull some of those things out. So you might want to make sure that at least for the first month or two that you change that HVAC unit's filter more frequently once everything kind of gets in there. Anyway, that was a great question. Good questions. Did I miss anybody else?
There's other questions, yeah.
Other questions?
Rob has a question that I know the answer to.
Eric? Okay, well then Eric, you may answer the question since you are prepped and ready, my dear.
Do you have it up there?
I do.
Okay, so is it the one about the Torrens, whatever? Yeah. So Torrens title, and I know about this because when I saw your question pop up, I looked it up. So, Torrens title means the state registers title, right? Which in Florida, yes, the state does register title, but it also doesn't use deeds, and Florida does use deeds. So the short answer to your question is no, we don't use the Torrens title system. Thank you. That's all I have to say about that. Reporting from the other side of the counter, I'm Eric Kidwell.
Fabulous, dear. All right. Anybody else? Oh, wait. Julia D. Yes. Question: are the incentives only available for those who finance? That is another fantastic. You guys are on it today. Boom, boom, boom. So fantastic question. All right. So are the incentives only for those who finance? So no. The closing cost contribution. So sometimes, okay, so let's say you're a cash buyer. If you are a cash buyer, obviously you still have closing costs, but they're not going to be the same amount as if you are financing. So usually what we do, so let's just say that there's let's say there's a $10,000 closing cost contribution, and you are, and by the way, keep in mind, those incentives are typically tied into you using their preferred lender. So yes, it's for financing, and yes, it's also tied into you using whatever lender that builder prefers that you work with. So full disclosure on that. You can't use Joe Schmo's lending and have them give you that same closing cost contribution. They won't do it. But if you use theirs, then they will. But if it's a cash purchase and they were offering $10,000 for closing cost contributions, we can usually get that $10,000 allocated to cover your closing costs, and then, the rest of it may be deducted off of the price of the home. That's going to be on a case-by-case basis. I certainly cannot speak for the builder as to what they would allow. But yes, I have absolutely 100% of the time still had those incentives in some way, shape, or form applied to a person if they're purchasing cash. So you're still good there if it's a cash purchase. But if it's financing, it does have to be with their lender. So that's another good question. You guys are on it today. You're so good. Yes, sir?
We have a different form of breaking news I'd like to bring up now.
A different form of breaking news?
Yes.
Can you figure it out, guys? I love this. Okay, so actually, super exciting. So this picture reminds me a little bit of Easton and Elsie, which will be the grandbabies' names. So in both cases, babies are now kicking, and the girls can feel them. Alyssa told us the other day that she felt it. She was so excited. We were so excited, and there's nothing more magical if you have been so blessed to have carried a child before, to know what that's like, to have those kicks inside of you. It is such a magical, wonderful thing. And then Elizabeth said last week after coffee time was over, she's like, I think I felt Elsie kick during coffee time. But the first time it's kind of, you're like, maybe it was. But then last night, true story, I was in bed. I was still up. I was working on the computer, but laying in bed. And I hear this boom, 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 boom. Everybody's running down the stairs. I'm like, what happened? And they bust through the door. They're like, we have news. And Elizabeth definitely felt a very real, undeniable, unmistakable kick. So they're super excited. I think this morning she's also said that Elsie's been a little bit active this morning. So I know Allie and Elizabeth are, honestly, I just want to cry because I know what that feels like and I miss it. Unfortunately, I can't feel the kicks yet, because they're just kind of like the internal ones, but soon.
I'll kick you. Lightly.
Did you hear that? For the record. Okay, he said that. All right. Anyway, let's move.
Shafiq had a question.
Okay.
And before you go to Shafiq's question, can I ask Shafiq a question?
Sure.
Shafiq, I've not been following. Could you share with me which club is at the top of the Premier League table at the end of match week 16? Could you share that with me? It's Liverpool, everyone, in case you're wondering. Jane, no offense, Newcastle, not going that well, but they'll come back. It'll be fine. But my point is, you'll never walk alone.
All right. Good. Okay, so Shafiq's question. Hi, guys. What benefits do the builders get by using their preferred lender? Is it possible that they're getting commission? No, it's not like that. It's all legit. There's nothing underhanded. There's no kind of kickback that way. It is, and one thing you need to note is that some builders, some of the larger builders, have their own lending company under the same corporate umbrella. It makes everything much smoother and much easier because it is all part of the same process. So they're going to incentivize you because they're not only selling you the home and getting the money for the purchase of the home, but they're also servicing your mortgage. So they're getting the money on the mortgage as well. So it incentivizes them to incentivize you to use their lender because they're going to be making money off of you in both ways. And that's not bad. That's not shady at all. There's no kickback on it. Now, there are some builders that do not have their own in-house mortgage company or lending portion of their corporation, and therefore they use, in my opinion, the actual literal definition of preferred lender, an outside lender that they prefer to do business with. And those lenders, they have their agreements and they disclose all of that. And in some ways, when they do that, like I have seen, let's just say, I'm just going to use the amount of $5,000 for a lender that has an outside preferred lender. So in those cases, let's say it's a $5,000 closing cost contribution. What happens is that ends up being divided. The builder will give you $2,500 and the lender will give you $2,500. So it's really just a matter of making the process smoother and easier and incentivizing that word, to the buyer, because remember, they're going to be making money off of servicing that loan. So, for them to give you $2,500 or $5,000 in the beginning is nothing. If you've ever seen the amortization chart of what it looks like when you buy your home, it's not a big deal for them to give you a little bit of money up front to encourage you to have your loan or your mortgage with them. So, good question. Any other questions, or can I move on?
Move on.
I'm going to move on. Okay, so I'm going to move on to, what do I want to move on
Let's
to?
do wishes real quick.
Wishes?
Yeah.
Where's my wishes? Where's my wishes? Wishes.
row where it all
There it is. I see it. Okay. Jim, are you still here? Jim, are you still here? Jim, if you're here, say, I'm here. This is Jim's garage, and this is a part of Wishes Come True. So I've talked about Jim many, many times here. They closed on their beautiful home out in Claremont a few months ago, I guess at this point, and immediately started making his garage, his dream garage. I think like the very first day, they put, I have to make sure I'm here to see if Jim's still here because I had it on the question. So the very first day, he had the people coming in doing the epoxy on the garage and repainting the interior of the garage. That big, beautiful blue Chevy. What kind of car is that, honey? Eric, what kind of car?
That's a Corvette on top.
That's a Corvette on top. Yeah,
It was a Shelby Mustang.
Okay, Mustang. But the car, and I think I've even showed you a few pictures here and there, but he sent some pictures the other day because he finally got the car lift in there. So, I mean, come on, like just what a great place. This is his zone, right? You talk about man caves. This is his car cave, and it's fantastic. So, that just makes me so happy. And again, they closed a while back, so it's so nice to still stay in touch with clients and for them to still send pictures and show me how excited they are about making, that purchase. I mean, we work with people for some cases so long, right? Years in advance of actually searching and then finding the home and then waiting for the home to be built. And they're just a part of your family. And so it really is fun to get these pictures. So if you want to have a garage like that, then your wish can come true as well. And Jim will give you all of the people that he used to make his come true. Anyway, so...
I got a follow-up question.
Who do what?
Shafiq.
Yes, I just saw that. So let me go back here. Shafiq. So follow-up question. If you can't get approved by the approved lender for the builder, but you can get approved by a different lender, is it possible to still get the incentives? No, not at all. Because remember, the builders, for whatever reason, so remember, a builder and the builder's lender, they want you to be approved for the loan, but there's certain parameters that have to be met. And if you're not meeting those parameters with their lender, and then all of a sudden you come in with a pre-approval from another lender, that's not going to make them feel super comfortable about it. So those incentives are not going to be in play in that regard. Now again, case-by-case basis, will I say never? I won't say never, but it's not likely.
And I was paying attention, but I was kind of doing other things. But I don't know if you mentioned, sometimes those incentives mean that the interest rate's a little bit higher through the builder. Did you mention that? Mm-hmm. So because they're basically, that incentive sometimes can tweak up a little bit. So they aren't going to do that for you because they're, but you may get it. Sometimes we have to balance that. You could go to an outside lender and get approved, and your interest rate's a little lower, but you don't get the incentive. That means you have a little more cash up front that you have to pay. It's all a thing to balance, and it's all a thing that Amy can help you with as you go through, because she is helpful with those sort of things.
Well, and one other thing before
call her is the point of that graphic.
Yeah. I want to talk one more little tidbit about that, but I want to go. Geraint, he says you forgot Newport. How's Newport doing?
I did. His point was that we need to back Cardiff, and then I mentioned that we do back Cardiff because they're Welsh, as you know, Amy. And then Swansea, he says Swansea's a no-no. Wrexham, let's be honest, because they were on Hulu and we watched them, but that's a good story. And then he says Newport. We will take a look at Newport and see. Forrest and I were trying to get, and people that don't follow soccer football, are going to be like, we're bored. But we have Liverpool in the Premier League, Swansea in the Championship, just because they're Welsh. But maybe we'll switch to Cardiff. Who knows? And then we have some other, like Shrewsbury Town, we just picked randomly it to be in League One, and League Two we picked Wrexham. And we were planning to come over and go see a match for all those, but candidly, we really just picked the other ones at random so we'd have other teams to follow. We haven't really followed up. It's all about Liverpool for us. So maybe we'll switch to Cardiff. I'll check with my son and see. Okay, and then Newport, I don't know. After what they pulled.
Okay, real quick, because I want to kind of go back to what we were just talking about with Shafiq and a couple of the other questions about the lenders and a preferred lender versus an outside lender. So here's a true story, and I always tell all of my clients I teach and I talk in stories about actual things that have actually happened, and how we either surpassed them or got through them or what happened because of it. So quick story. I had a client looking here to move from out of state, had a job transfer. So my first step, as it is with most of you, right, is that if you haven't already gotten a pre-approval, that we get the pre-approval because it's time to look for houses and we need to know what that number is going to look like so we know where we can look at what price point. So got my client in touch with one of my trusted lenders, and I say that word, trusted lenders. I don't just throw you off to anybody, and I don't just eeny, meeny, miny, mo out of a phone book, although phone books don't exist anymore, but these are lenders that I work with. I have worked with. Sometimes I've even had them do my own loans. So I had this person get in touch with my lender. My lender worked the numbers. And usually, just in case you're curious, the realtor doesn't know your business, right? The realtor usually gets the phone call or the letter from the lender that says, hey, thanks so much for sending so-and-so over. Great candidates. This is where we are pre-approved. Between us, they've got a little bit more flexibility, but they want to keep the number here. Or, hey, Amy, as in this case, this is the tip top. This is the best we're going to be able to do, and they cannot go a penny above it. And the HOA fee can't be more than X amount because it is a really, really, really tight ceiling on that price point, okay? So my client with my trusted lender has a specific number that we're going to go house hunting for. So my client went to a new construction community and sat down. We got to the point where we're sitting and we're talking, and this home, as we're adding, is going to be way above, not just a little bit, substantially above where my trusted lender said that their numbers actually would work and they could comfortably afford that mortgage. But that builder's lender easily approved them for even more. And my gut sank because after we left that office and we didn't sign anything, but, talked to my client, they're like, Amy, what do you think? You think it's a good deal? And I'm like, well, my biggest concern is how their lender approved you for more than what this lender did. And by the way, that can happen vice versa, right? So the point is you just want to make sure that, that you are approved for an amount that is going to be safe and comfortable. And in that case, ultimately what happened is they did not move forward at that home. We found them another new construction home right around the corner, and it did fit comfortably within their budget, and they are still here today because they can afford that mortgage. So that's just really, really, really important, is to make sure that those numbers actually make sense. So on that note, let's move on to the next one because I got to get out of here in a few minutes. So what do we want to do next, dear?
I think let's get out of here.
Just get out of here?
Jane wants to know who's mowing the lawn.
Who's mowing the lawn?
The community people are.
Oh, they're community people. Yeah, so back behind us, Jane, good eyes, my friend. Wow. So behind us, if you see our pool, then you see the screened enclosure, and then behind that there's yard, and then there's a black fence, and behind the black fence is space. You can't see it, but there's maybe 6 feet-ish, 8 feet of a just common area, and then on the outside of the perimeter is going to be a fence with jasmine on it. So that you saw go by is the common area maintenance HOA people that are maintaining that, and then there's a huge section of green space over here that they're going to be mowing.
Because I mow our lawn because I am a man.
Yes, and Jane is leaving now. So
bye, Jane.
Bye, Jane. We love you. All right, guys. So on that note, we should probably scoot too. I have a couple things we didn't get to, but I will do this one really fast just because. I wanted to do this one before we left because What I'm watching is actually Virgin River. I'm finishing up the new episodes that came out. But December 16th is Rudolph. And you know what? If you are anywhere near my age, you remember that when Frosty came on or Rudolph came on, it came on once, right? It came on, you knew when it was going to come on, you set your family's agenda around what night you were going to get to stay home and watch Charlie Brown or any of these old classic Disney, cartoon movies that we did. And so December 16th, I believe on CBS, Rudolph will be airing. So, that's a good day to get some hot cocoa and the kids or the grandkids or just friends and family and go back and reminisce a bit. As Allie says here, don't forget to like and share the stream, folks. Allie, thank you for the reminder as always. All right, guys, I am going to get out of here because I've got some work to do today. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. I have to find my little button. Where's the wrap up? I cannot find it, so I'm just not going to push it. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. Where is it? Thank you, dear. Wonderful week. It's going to be busy. It's going to be crazy. We will be here next Monday. That will be our last coffee time. Not the last one ever. Don't cry. Stop crying. It's okay. We're going to be back. We'll see you next Monday. Then the next one, which is Christmas.
We'll do something that Monday that pops up that we pre-recorded or something.
Oh, pre-record something.
We won't be live. Yeah.
We won't be live. Okay. All right. All right, guys. As always, we really do appreciate you. Please stay safe. Stay well. We love you guys. Happy house hunting. Bye.